All right, today I'm going to introduce our new workers technology. So this is something that I've had in play for some time now. We have a lot of customers who have, multiple data sources, third-party applications, and they lean on us to build them, automation to get their data inside of Ligna and play really nice with Ligna. And so we have this library of custom integrations, custom solutions, custom automated tasks that we have developed. And so we've spent the last several months putting all those together and putting a nice UI in the back end of Ligna to make it easy for anybody to do this. So you don't have to go and build a connector to our API, set up Zapier, send it to a Google Sheet or whatever you may be doing to try to get that data into Ligna so you can leverage the CRM. We basically built that for you, made it very simple. This is one of many workers. We're calling them worker tasks, right? So there's many worker types that we have coming. The first one out of the gate is a worker task that's by far, something I've leveraged for many years. You're probably doing it today with several different platforms. And quite frankly, it's expensive when you start looking at it at scale. And this is pulling in the cream of the crop of local data directly into your CRM so you can start triggering automated workflows to either warm up your data, do outreach, just overall having an entire database specific to the industry you're targeting is super valuable, right? Best tools on the market are really good unless you can get data in there, right? They're worthless, right? And so this is one step closer to getting your data into Ligna in an actionable way. And we made it really, really simple. So I'm going to jump right in, show you how we can do it and how we can drive thousands upon thousands of local leads directly into your CRM and leverage all the cool stuff Ligna has to offer. Okay, so what you're looking at here is our new workers tab. So this is right by workflows. So this plays nicely with workflows. So you can set up, as data comes in from these workers, you can ultimately set up one of our workflows to leverage, drip email, SMS, whatever you may do, all the different types of workflows we have. You're not limited to anything that you want to do. You could actually send it to another system if you want through a webhook. And so when you're setting up a worker, there's a few things in our system that you need to do to make all this work. First step, you'll notice when you come over here and create a worker, it's going to ask you for a few settings here. One, type. Right now I only have the leads type, but I have user type. I have automated directories that you can build. Just so much cool stuff coming. Facebook pages. This one's pretty powerful. And obviously when you see it and what you're able to do with it, I'm sure you agree. So currently only one type. You have a data form. So if you're not familiar with our system, data forms are essentially endpoints to our platform to get data in, whether it be embedding the form on your website, whether importing a CSV or using our API to send the data over. It's just a top level filter for leads when they come into our platform. And so you need to set up a data form first. I always set up a custom data form specifically for this automation. And so you can name it whatever, and you can watch the videos on how to set up a data form. I'll jump in there real quick and show you that. And then you're going to need to set up an API profile. So this API profile, typically when you're bringing in external data sources inside of Ligna, you would want to come over here to your API tab under settings and then integrations and click on API. And so in here, you're going to set up a new API. Name it. I always name it again. Anything that has to do with the worker itself, I want to have everything kind of named the same throughout the board from my data forms to my API integrations. So name it. This is just an internal name for you to reference. Once you create it, here I'll just create a sample one real quick. Once you create an API connection or integration, you're going to click on this little lock here. Now, when you generate your secret key, if you don't plan on using this API outside of a worker task, you don't need to copy this. We do a totally different authentication for the API to leverage that when we're pulling in this automated worker. However, if you want to use this for another tool or any other type of integration, you're certainly going to want to copy this and store this because it only presents it once and you'll never get it back. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Let me go ahead and delete that as well. So now that I have that set up, my API integration set up, I'm going to want to set up a data form. So data forms are basically, again, entry points for leads that come in a lot of different usage. This particular workflow, I want to go out and get all the roofers in the entire United States, bring them into my platform and trigger a series of emails to warm up the data before I attempt to reach out and call, or, obviously drive them to a landing page to convert them through email. And so you're going to create a new data form. There's tons of videos I have back here on how to create a data form, but it's real simple. Once you create your data form, you're going to set up the fields that you want to capture, throughout the process of bringing this lead data in. So the most important one is going to be company, address, city, state, zip, country, phone number, email address, Google business profile, industry. But however you want to leverage this data form, you don't necessarily only have to use this data form for the automation. I like doing that. So in this case, this is named GMAP automation for roofers, specifically for roofers. And again, there's a lot of things you can do with data forms outside of what we're doing here. Very simple, create the data form. Once you have the data form set up, you have your API profile set up. Now you can make a choice. Do you just want the data in your CRM inside of Ligna, or do you want to start triggering some automation? If you want to trigger some automation, you're going to want to come over here to templates, click over here on workflows. And inside workflows, you have an option of setting up a workflow for this specific campaign. So you're going to create a new workflow, name it. This is an internal name. Again, trying to keep the same nomenclatures across just so it's easy to organize and understand which is which. What you're going to want to do is choose the leads workflow type. By choosing the leads workflow type, you then open up for all your event types. The event type that I'm going to use in this example is simply lead added to data form. Now you could do all sorts of different types of events. This is a simple event that when this lead comes in from, once we find the profile, bring it in and send it over to the system, it's going to trigger because it's being added to this specific data form. And so you would select the event type, choose a workspace. If you don't understand workspaces or are not using workspaces, don't worry about it. Workspaces are simply a way to organize all your assets and any shared assets that you have with your internal teams. And if you're not using a workspace, no worries. No need to hit active. You can do it on the next step, internal name, hit create. Once you come into your workflow, you have several different options. One, you need to select that data form. This could be used for multiple data forms as well, but go ahead and select that data form that you just created. Then you're going to set up, so basically when this event happens, any lead that's added to this data form, you want to do this action. So you can choose any of the actions between sending email, changing lead status, creating labels, creating notes, opportunities, whatever you want. Create a call queue for them. In this case, I'm just doing send email. So I'm creating the first email that goes out. 0 minutes means it's going to go out immediately, but you can schedule it minutes, hours, days, weeks, months from the time it comes in. You're going to want to set up an email account. So definitely watch that video on how to set up your email. I also suggest here that you can rotate SMTP providers. So if you're using ours, great, but you can actually bring in others and have each of your steps a different SMTP provider, which obviously works great because it dilutes yourself as far as how many you're sending to a specific SMTP. So there's some cool stuff you can do there within here. So I have this first email. It's going out. It's basically just introducing the company, what we offer. By the way, Title is just a sample agency that we like to showcase because we do a lot of white label services and white label marketing for agencies, and it's a great example. This is just a simple example that I'm doing for roofers, right? And so the first email goes out immediately. The second email is going out 2 days later, right? So different email, different content, different everything. And then there's a third email. So that third email is here. But you could have SMS, you could have voicemail drops, you can have whatever basically you want to come from the actual workflow opposed to, just having a series of emails. Once you have this set up, you're going to want to activate and hit save. Again, this time, so there's one thing a little bit interesting about our platform. We actually have 2 different types of automation systems when it comes to like email, SMS, and voicemail drops. This is our workflows, easiest one to set up. We do have a drag and drop cadence system, not to confuse you there, but the only real difference between workflows and the timing of cadences in both of these is that this is actually from the time that lead came in. not from the previous step. These steps are not related in any way, shape, or form. So this email is going out immediately because I have set to 0. This is actually going out 2 days after that lead came in. And then if I wanted to go 3 days after that, I would need to set it what I did 5 days. So this is 5 days later. So everything you do on a timing standpoint is specific to the time that that lead came in. All right, so I have those set up. I got one going out instantly, got one 2 days later, and one 5 days later. Pretty straightforward. In addition to that, you can add other steps, and there's other event types. You don't have to use this one, but this is the easiest one to get started. That, hey, you know what? I want every roofer in the entire United States. I want them to hear my brand or see my brand through email. I want that data warmed up so I can put together a more specific campaign that I want to go after, later on. And so this is the easiest way to get started. Just, again, create a workflow. When lead is added to the data form, when this event happens, select your data form and then do these actions. Now I have my data form set up. I have my API integration set up. I have my workflow set up. Now it's time to actually start activating a worker. So you're going to come over here to the Workers tab, and inside Workers, as a matter of fact, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Create Worker. And again, you're going to select that lead type, only one available at this moment, data form that you just created, your API integration that you just created, and Workspace if you're leveraging Workspace. Name it, the internal name. There's a lot of different strategies once you get inside this worker profile of how you want to set this up. I may touch on that just for a minute here. So basically, if you're going to go after, let's say you are a marketing agency that service home improvement contractors, or maybe you sell group insurance to 10 certain industries or different business types, and you don't necessarily want to target very specific down to that one, like daycares or restaurants or roofers or plumbers. So you're creating this overarching worker profile, and your workflows would be generic to whatever business, right? And the landing page you drive them to, and just all the messaging that you do would be specific or not as targeted to a specific industry like roofing, right? In this case, I want my whole worker profile to be geared around roofers. So that means my email templates are going to be about roofers. My landing page I'm going to drive you to is about roofers. Everything I'm doing is categorized around roofing. And so there's really 2 different strategies there. And depending on how many worker limits you have, you may want to either kind of blanket multiple businesses to get your best bang for your buck, or, go very specific because your conversion rates will be much better, obviously if you do it this way. So however you can do it any way you want. Once you create your profile, that'll take you right into the worker task dashboard. This is going to break down, obviously the settings you just did, how many worker tasks you have available left. This is different than a lot of different scraping technologies that are really kind of credit-based or record-based. This is task-based. So workers will last until they're done. And when the month is over, you can create another worker. So if in this case, I have 8 worker tasks. I can create 8 tasks every single month net new. What's also different is it's not one specific region for one specific keyword. So when you come in here, regions are basically local areas, cities. Records are essentially the profile that we're pulling since we're doing a GMAT one. And then your API submissions are what's being pushed over to your leads view automatically for you. So in this case, I'm going to come over here. I have an available worker task. I'm going to click on Create Task, and you have these options. So one option, Google Business Profile. This is the one of only options so far. We got Facebook business pages. Again, I'll talk about building automated directories. So there's a lot of different ones that we've already put in play that are going to come into this UI and allow you to leverage them. But this is the first one. So you're going to come in here and select whatever city you want. In this case, I'll just do Round Rock. Oops, I can't spell. I'm going to do Round Rock. And you can add up to 5 cities here per worker task. So that's what's different. You're not necessarily just doing one for Round Rock. You can, again, add up to 5 cities here. You just search here. It'll show you your city. You select it. It comes into your selected area. Then on keywords, a little bit different. So I'm going to do roof repair this time. And you can add up to 5 keywords as well. So each location will get 5 pools. So if you're very targeted like this in roofing, you could do tile roofing, you can do asphalt roofing, roof repair, roofing contractor, really, kind of hit the top core keywords or very specific keywords, like I said, on tile roofing. Doesn't really matter. The only issue you have when you're so targeted is that when that city goes again and goes through your keywords, you're limited to how many actual businesses are there if the keyword's very, very similar. But no big deal, especially if you're doing multiple locations that cover, like Austin will cover multiple cities there, obviously surrounding and things like that. So just know when you get ultra niche like this, you're going to want multiple workers going in different geos and things like that. But saves you tons of time to have 5 locations and 5 keywords right out of the gate. Emails only. So we'll bring the whole record in whether it gets email or not. But basically what we're doing is we're matching business profiles on these searches here, your keywords and the locations. We're then going out and collecting contact information for email from that business and putting it into this profile and sending it over. So you can either send the whole record over with no email, doesn't matter. So you can get all records, you would just uncheck this, or you would do emails only, and we will only send the profiles that come with an email. If you have a workflow set up that's dictated on email, doesn't matter if the profile comes over without email. It's obviously not going to send an email for the workflow. It'll remove it from the workflow and not send any more emails to them or attempt to send any emails. However, if you're going to call out and, all of them come with contact information outside of the, email in that case, so you may want all the records, especially if you're building lists for your outside salespeople. Imagine having a program where you just have leads just coming in where you can assign through the CRM. If you haven't seen the CRM, I highly suggest you taking a look at it. It's not just some little contact manager. It's really robust. So here, I've set myself up. I put Round Rock. I'm going to go ahead and hit add. So what this does is adds it to the queue. So now it's in the queue. This picks up every minute. Once it gets put in the queue, it starts running. We do have a unique offering outside of these we call them single worker tasks. Basically a set number of cities, a set number of keywords. When it's done running, you can then create another one the next month. So if I wanted to just blanket 8, at this point, 5 cities per 8, right? 8 worker tasks based on my limits. I can set all at 8 right now at the beginning of the month because I want to load up my database to work every month. I can do that, right? I can set it. It's going to complete. It'll give me a little worker log. So when it's completed, it'll show you, how many total records it found, how many were sent to the API, the actual result out there, and take a look at it. And so again, if you have multiple cities here, it'll show in here like this one, which I'm going to talk about this one, which is a different type of worker task that I'll explain in just a second. So this one is starting by now. Yep. So it's up and running. So it's starting to run. So it's going through Round Rock. It found 120 records. It's starting to go through and again, pulling all those in and going out and getting the profile for you and sending it across to your API. You'll notice this is starting to go up as these leads start coming in. So when a lead comes in, this is what it looks like. So when the system gets it, right now, no workflow has been triggered yet. It just came into the system. And so what happens is now it's queued up for the workflow. I got all the contact information. I got the link out to Google Business Profile. I have everything I need to reach out to this customer. And then now the real automation starts that I've set up. And this should, we'll give it just a minute and I'll jump back over. So this is the leads view. All your leads will start coming into the full leads view. And again, this is just a quick little look at, our system in general, as far as, the data that we have, or just the view that you have to manage your leads, just tons of bulk actions. What I love doing is jumping into this stat tracker over here and ultimately segmenting my list by opens and then grabbing the bulk action tool. So this is my view of all opens now. So everyone has opened my email. I'm going to go ahead and select all of them. And I'm going to apply a label to them that may trigger a different workflow. Or I may set up a workflow for that when they open. Or I may just email them again because they've opened and my open rates will be much higher, right? And so I can start, Again, organizing my database based on real live activity that's happening through an automated process that goes out, finds these local leads for you, brings them in, sends them over to the platform, and now you can leverage all the tools from the platform without having to do any type of API integration, without having to hire a developer, or if you're a developer yourself, building your own custom webhook and things like that, right? We've done all that work for you and brought it in. So again, let me come back to this lead. And so you'll see that this lead has received the email, sent, when they open it, you'll get the timeline track. So now they've received this email and I'm not doing anything. This runs all, throughout the entirety of that worker. And so these worker tasks, depending on the size of the city, the amount of records, it'll eventually finish, and then the next month you can do another one. However, we have what are called continuous workers. These are workers that run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never stop. The only time they stop is if you got the entire country that you're going after. In this case, I have one set up recently just for the United States. So I have every city that's starting, and I'm going city by city, and I'm pulling everything. So I'm building an entire database of roofers for the entire United States. This works in any country to pull your data, and this is just sending over. This runs nonstop. As soon as, again, when it gets through all 36,000 local markets this thing is set up from, you can then set it for another category, right? Maybe next I want to do HVAC. I can have as many of these continuous workers as I want, provided you get set up with them. So this is different than our limits that come with our packages on our website. So depending on the package that you get in, you have our normal single worker task based on your limits. So in this profile, I have 8. However, you can purchase inside our marketplace. If you come over here to the done for you setups, we have our continuous worker campaign. So this campaign we set up for $395. We're going to set up your landing page, do all the content for it. We're going to set up all your email templates, your automated workflow setup. We're going to set up SNTP rotating. So we're going to use our SNTP providers and we're going to rotate those SNTPs like I talked about earlier in this video. We're going to set up all your DNS, make sure your email deliverability is at as high as possible based on your domain. We also set up a multiple domains, so you have a different domain in your email that goes out and a different domain that's actually the email that sends. And it's one reusable worker with 5 keywords. So if you're going to go and blanket all of roofing, roofing contractors, roof repair, all those different keywords that you can need, you have up to 5 of them. And so it's $395 one time, and it's $50 a month for each worker that's running nonstop. And so if you're using the same design for a different, category, it's cloning that and taking it to the next, and then activating another, continuous, worker that runs nonstop. So it's really only difference between these two. Again, not to discredit the single worker task. I mean, for 5 cities, 5 categories running, depending on how many you have each month, you certainly can build a significant database that's way cheaper than a lot of these API integrations for scraping. You got to go back there and you can only run one at a time. You got to pay more for the premium proxies. You got to set up. There's one thing to note, that this platform on the back end just has so much logic behind it. It's so powerful. It's set in a way that's about as close as the fastest human being as possible. So what I mean by that, it feels like a human's doing this, but obviously significantly faster. More importantly, it works all day, every night if you have one of these continuous workers. But again, not discrediting the single worker task. Certainly you can build out more data, more quality data. Best of all, it goes right into the CRM all at once for you, right? And triggers your workflows without having to do anything else. I mean, literally, if you have the email set up, you set up your data form, takes a minute or 2 to set that up, a few seconds to set up your API, come into the worker's profile and set that up, add your worker task and set it, and you can start watching your leads just come in. They just keep coming in, right? And, again, they're getting those automated messages and set you up to where you can then transfer leads to your sales reps, or automate your leads going into your sales rep with a shared workspace and things like that. So that's it. Pretty powerful. Got a lot of different automations that are coming. Certainly subscribe to my channel. I put a lot of these videos. I record a lot of these videos. I haven't put a whole lot out recently. We have added a lot of stuff coming. And so a lot of these videos are going to come out back to back to back. especially when you start talking about these automated directories where we're doing the same thing, but it's creating a user profile, it's generating a directory. Another one is creating a website preview for your client that's already a roofing site with all the content and personalized for them. That automates the communication to introduce a new site preview. A lot of fun stuff that you can do with this. This is just the start of it. So let me know what you think. Appreciate your time as always. And yeah, look forward to getting your feedback.